Welcome back, everybody, to EGF. My name is Keela Miles, joined once again by Soy, as we're getting into the second match of the day, with Canisius College taking on Rider University.
Yeah, another MAC battle to continue on our day, and these are two schools that are kind of looking to separate themselves from the middle of the pack. Both teams are 1-1, and last year they were both eliminated in quarterfinals of that MAC conference playoffs, so this is a big game for both of these two schools.
Yeah, and, well, Canisius College, both of these teams are a little bit of question marks, because they lost a lot of people over the break. Rider University, I believe they had said that they had replaced almost everyone with freshmen, which was a very good thing. They had said previously during the pure online era where they didn't even have in-person practices that they were having trouble even getting 5 people to practice. Whereas this year they had, I think, 30-something people apply for try out for the team alone, and they were able to pick and choose. So definitely got the cream of the crop, but it is still new. It still needs time to mature.
Yeah, and the good news is that a lot of those players that were able to stick around were some of their heavy hitters, like Yoshi Man and TLA and 920. They were here last year, so they can kind of bring that experience to these newer players who have also shown up. I mean, Rider, they're 1-1, and last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, they got a huge win over Iona, who looked really good last week in their win against Niagara. And kind of a similar story for Canisius is that they've had a lot of players move on and graduate, so it's really up to the younger players of this roster, players like A-Fly, Weebson, E-Dog, to really step up for this roster.
And speaking of A-Fly, they're actually going to be the ones starting out today for Canisius College. They're rocking the Game & Watch, though they do have a couple other counter picks, but, well, I think they're sticking to the 2D man for now.
Yeah, his Game & Watch looks really good. Last season, he went 7-7 in sets, and when he was on his victories, he looked really good. He was worth a lot of points, but it's important for Canisius to really, for him specifically, to really step up, because he's got to be one of those players on this roster to really earn a lot of points for them, especially with players like, I also made note, MKL Rising, who is a huge star on this team from last year. He earned them a lot of points. He's out this semester. He's out of conference play. He is studying abroad this semester. So they don't have him back till next year, or till the next split, I should say. And with that much firepower off the roster, someone else has got to step up.
Yeah, getting the long-term investments in the European strategies is going to bring back is going to be a little dicey for them this semester, but they're certainly making do. Both these teams fielding more than full rosters. I mean, Canisius College in particular, because they actually sent us a full roster list. Oh my word. They have they've got, first of all, a lot of energy. When I asked them how they feel they're going to do this season, they blew out the mic yelling. So I feel like there's some good energy, some good vibes coming from them. And additionally, the amount of counterpick characters they have, each person has at least 2 secondaries, which obviously you want to have your one main that you dedicate time to. So sometimes it is a little bit of a red flag to have that many secondaries on one team. But I feel like it's your staple at this point. You're the adaptable team. That's what you are.
Yeah. For Rider, too, I feel like it was a lot of last year kind of trying to iron down who their real main character was. You had the occasional pocket counter pick, but this year it really feels like they've come into their own, especially with that huge win week 1. Even last week when they were playing against Siena, the few matches that we got to see, they were keeping close. And you got to remember, Siena's the MAC champions, so I think there's some high expectations for both of these rosters.
Yeah, lost some grip. He's going to be the starter here. They've got an idea of what to do, but you can see they're having trouble really taking any space. And you don't want to throw out grenades willy-nilly against Game & Watch, because if you get too predictable with that, then you're dealing with a full bucket nonstop.
Yeah, and on top of that, too, that bucket is really going to be, I think, in the back of Loose Grip's mind throughout the entirety of this set. But right now, A-Fly off to a really hot start, nearly getting the kill off the top there.
It's all so safe. They picked up a grenade there, but that's the only damage they're going to end up taking, as they just keep getting up B conversions. At this point, they're out of the up B combo range, or, well, true combo anyway, but they still have so much pressure. The shield pressure is going to be enough to get you that right there, but that was a very hard read. But when you're at that much of a deficit, I actually don't mind it. It's going to get you down smash, but still an attempt right there. Though a second attempt, now it might get a little dicey.
Little bit greedy on that second attempt, but on the other hand too, you got to remember Game & Watch is one of the lightest characters in this game, and so he'll die very early to that up tilt. Snake got a lot of kill power under him and finding the stock there.
And using the grenade to stack on even more percent before you let it rip. That was some great timing, great awareness from A-Fly. As they're giving a lot of respect to that forward smash you've got to. Maybe eventually they will figure out how to get a harder punish on that. But they're getting the drag down nair right there, and they just wait. They're like, come on, drop me a little present. You know you want to. Running right in for the down smash. Oh my gosh. It's going to work out in their favor anyway, as the immediate air dodge. Enough for them. Oh, they're stuck. That's why they're holding the bucket.
That was... Yeah, I didn't even realize they were stuck, but he's dipped low, he's going to be able to make it back. But I was going to say, really good down smashes from A-Fly, using that first forward aerial to kind of keep a loose grip in place, and then following up with the down smash for even more pressure.
Oh, you're gone. Double down smash. Wanted it to fly right out of there, and now you do have an opportunity here. A-Fly was really controlling the tempo before, but standing right on top of that C4. Oh, I love that reverse bucket right there. Oh, that was nice. That was really nice, Soy.
That was fantastic, too. I also love the shield punish from loose grip. Just don't even bother going for, the extra damage or something on a move. Just ensure the kill, knock him off stage, use your body to do the work for you. And now loose grip. Is he going to dive at the top of that? No, not quite.
Yeah, Snake's a heavy old lad. As they do get the full bucket, it's going to be a little hard to use it. They're going very deep right there. Going off stage for the back. They're not going to find it. As, again, it's still doable with rage. You're getting into up. Oh! You don't need the up tilt. You're going to swing in the leg down this time with the strongest spike in the game. Unnecessary. But if that would have killed at 0, it's definitely going to kill A-Fly right there and then.
Huge spike there, and that's really what a turnaround, because remember, loose grip almost died off the top there in that blast zone, and his survivability there late, just all he needed was that one extra little conversion, and it felt like A-Fly had a decent grip on that matchup, but just wasn't able to really play for his stock. Immediately after he was taking stocks, he was giving them right back up, and able to take advantage was Ryder.
Yeah, and we talked about the bucket and threatening the bucket, and we saw A-Fly do that quite a lot. But I never actually saw anything come of it, Soy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We only saw it fully charged once right at the end of that stock, and he never got the chance to use it. Now, I mean, it was ever present throughout that matchup, because you saw him use it multiple times for dealing with grenades and the C4 even, because he got stuck that one time. But again, if you're not able to get anything off of it, that's a huge part of this matchup just kind of burned away.
Yeah, certainly, Soy. As now Canisius College down a point, A-Fly can still definitely bring that back. I mean, like you said, they had the lead right until the very end with that hard read on the forward air. But now it did feel like Lawson Group is starting to get a grip on the situation. They're understanding when exactly the engages are going to come in. The up B conversions aren't exactly free anymore. So I'm curious to see what sort of adaptations the A-Fly will be bringing to the table.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that he gets a little greedy for those kills, right? I mean, you saw the setups. I mean, 2 of his kills were off of landing that down smash, right? But Snake did a really good job, or Snake as a character does a good job of kind of controlling the ground. He spends a lot of time in the air, but again, he's one of those characters that you're playing against a minefield, right? So you have to be constantly worrying about projectiles, which is why the bucket was so important for A-Fly to make use of. But here in this match, I want to either see A, the bucket actually get used, or B, just quit going in so hard for some of these kills, because you're going to get punished for it as such a light character.
Oh, and the jab at ledge there. Didn't quite have the SDI out, so Grip's going to get a lot of percentage. Up being right off that grenade. Actually going to take some damage for it, but still, A-Fly escapes mostly scot-free. This is a nice tricky little situation on the platform, but it is A-Fly who takes the immediate advantage. The early air dodge to avoid that up air is going to get Grip back to the ground, but it's still really hard for them to get any mileage with Game & Watch dropping bombs.
Yeah. And Grip right now at a deficit. I actually don't mind that edge guard attempt. Just throw those projectiles over using that neutral B. And even though it's not going to do much against Cypher, he will eat some damage for it.
And there have been some serious baits coming out here, because you are putting a little lag when you absorb something, and that's an opportunity for an up tilt. We saw Grip get that once before, but just throwing out the up tilt in center stage, that is just asking for a forward air.
Ooh, great catch, though, right back. I mean, that up tilt is just so dangerous. It is so good for Grip, and catching A-Fly jumping will seal away that stock, so things right back to even.
And A-Fly a little less reactionary with the bucket now, and more trying to just guess. And that's really not working out in their favor. As you can see, a lot of the time they're just getting completely called out.
Yeah. Percents right back to even, and that's actually an interesting trade. That up tilt of Snakes can actually, as you just saw, mitigate the forward airs of A-Fly, but that's something to note as this matchup goes on, as that up tilt nearly finds the kill.
Ooh, out of the jab, too. Interesting. The up tilt on shield, though, is going to still give an opportunity to up B out of shield. Ooh, Cypher, that was aggressive. Going to escape for now, but doing okay. The bucket off a ledge, though. That's a burst option Grip wasn't ready for.
And immediately traded right back by that up tilt, and so things back to even. But I did really like that use of the bucket. You just see Grip standing a little too close to ledge, use that fully charged bucket and secure that stock.
Now A-Fly playing underneath, though. That spike, though, gonna put them in a tech situation. Not gonna run into the down smash. And with the jabs, they're able to get some stage advantage now. Trying to keep them on ledge. The Chef cooking something up, but surprisingly low end lag on that forward smash. Game & Watch not quite having the speed to punish them, and now we get to the mind games. When are you going to try and detonate this C4? But now it's stuck on you, and it fell off. You might have lost your opportunity right there, but you didn't want to feed the bucket.
Yeah, that was big. Ooh, I like the idea there. Lands the back air and tries to land that C4, but just a little bit of misspacing on it. So this is very dangerous. Remember, Grip can end this set if he finds a way to seal this stock away, but look at the pressure A-Fly is applying.
Yeah, the pressure is on. Set off stage by the forward air, but we've seen this kind of lead before from A-Fly. One mistake is all you need. Trying to land right there to get the back air. Definitely an up tilt kill percentage right there, especially if you caught the jump on the platform, which it looked like Grip was going for. Just kind of zooming around with the reverses. Is that a charged up bucket? Yes, it is. Dropping that C4 was their downfall. As in the scramble situation, Sloth comes out. And that'll be A-Fly tying this up 1-1.
Yeah, great recognition there from A-Fly. He recognizes he's got the fully charged bucket, and that dash attack, that cross-up from Snake just puts him a little too far forward, and the bucket, the range of it just catches him. It was that extra little extension that caught Grip. So things tied back up here, and again, feels very even between these two.
Yeah, it's definitely a seesaw, and even though we did see some adaptations from A-Fly, It only feels like Lucent Grip's movement has gotten cleaner throughout the entire duration of this set. Every single minute they're on screen, they're getting a little more slippery, and that's dangerous when you're supposed to be going for trades and eating a lot of percent. That's not what has been happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing I think to note is that A-Fly has typically been the one to take the first stock, although he is losing it immediately. But that's, I think, a huge point of emphasis that we saw in the last set. Maris was able to take the first stock and then hold on to that second stock for a long period of time. And here we're seeing that it's almost just instantly. Like, the second they drop from Halo, they're able to find their one opening and even things right back up. And so survivability, I think, going to play a huge factor here in game number 3.
Yeah. You think you've got to learn eventually to play a little bit more of a grounded game. Game & Watch's ground game isn't impeccable, but you've got the tools to prevent grenades from being too much of a problem. And then you also have pretty decent tilts. So just not jumping in immediately after the stock is over. That's what I'm looking for Mayfly.
Yeah, and for Lucent Grip, I mean, he's made great use of those up tilts, but it feels like that's almost exclusively the way that he's found kills, right? Aside from game 1 landing that forward air off stage, I think the vast majority of his stocks have come off of that up tilt. So I'm looking for some other way. I mean, Snake's got other kill options, but you can't just rely on one move for you to get the kill.
3, 2,
Yeah.
1.
He's going to go to town and city, a little bit more room to breathe for A-Fly. As he's waiting it out for now. They want to be on this side of the stage. This is their home. You're going to have to approach them, Lucent Grip. But in the opening, A-Fly is going to have a tiny bit of an advantage. That is until you're stuck above them. Catch and landing with the dash attack, and now you're in constant disadvantage. I love that early attempt, and that forward air, that's not going to do anything at this percent.
Yeah, and both are able to make it back to stage. Lucent Grip has the lead for now. And I think that's a fully charged bucket now on the side of A-Fly. And there it is again from ledge.
It's so unexpected, and it went through the stage that time.
That's just really smart spacing by A-Fly. And again, game sense, right? Recognition. Realizing, hey, I've got the fully charged bucket. And once again, Lucent Grip just not spacing properly around that ledge and utilizing that length of that hitbox.
Forward smash. That's going to be it. Using the bucket to cover your recovery. Don't want to have to deal with that Nikita in the slightest, as they just continuously throw out these back airs, but eventually it's going to be punished. Now Lucent Grip does have an even stock, but very much at a percentage deficit, and this is a good percentage for Game & Watch to kind of combo the heck out of you.
Dangerously playing around that C4. They're both kind of standing on it, knowing that it's there, just waiting for Snake to press the trigger, but no dice so far, and now possibly an opening. There goes the explosion. Lost track of the timer, and Lucent Grip gonna need some percent for it.
They do actually get the absorb on that grenade towards the very end, but A-Fly playing this a lot safer right now. Down smash not going to set up for a kill, but it is going to give you advantage. Snake has to land on top of you now. Yeah, that does look a little iffy, going all the way up.
Yeah, A-Fly, he's really not afraid to go for those high angles, and he's able to get the back air into the stage to seal away that second stock. And at this percentage, I mean, Snake can still find a kill, but it would take a lot. So this is a big stock for A-Fly.
Yeah, as that landing there, it's going to convert into that. And able to get a little bit of mileage. Look, going all the way up. They had to dive all the way down just to survive that C4 right there. It was stuck on them the entire time.
Yeah, that was very dangerous. Oh, I love that follow-up off of the neutral B into the jabs to get that extra percent. Now there's a ton of work for Lucent Grip to do here on his last stock. He's still got to find a way to take 2.
Ooh, and the stage flick right there, too. It's getting really dicey for them. But the air dodge to ledge is going to save them. Holding them up. Saying, all right, there you go. Go right into the light. And now there's a chance for Lucent Grip. Just a chance. But you're in such a disadvantaged state right now.
Yeah, trying to find a way out of the corner here. Is able to make it back. Gets a dash attack to send A-Fly off stage. And a little bit of chip damage. This could be big. Game & Watch is a very light character. This could be dangerous.
Ooh, shielding on top of that C4. That was a little dicey, but A-Fly holding calm. But you're getting to the point where Rage is going to make that up tilt kill so much sooner. And you're fishing for the bucket at this kind of percent. And the jab's not going to convert either, but it's going to shield poke. Dropping a little too early, and Lucent Grip getting sent up. Not a kill quite yet, but the down smash will be straight up. A-Fly able to clutch it out in the end for Canisius College after going down a game to start out.
Yeah, huge comeback there for A-Fly. I was actually really shocked that down smash sent him straight up. That's a very odd angle for that move to send at, but that was kind of the pace of the matchup there for A-Fly, right? He covers a lot of options and then uses that down smash to eventually cover the landing of Snake. And I mean, Lucent Grip, you saw he had his openings, right? It felt like A-Fly might have gotten a little greedy going for the kill towards the end of that set, but A-Fly was able to clean it up and take the last stock.
Yeah. Overall, very clean play and putting Canisius College on the board, but not unattainably so. It's not a start like we've seen from many other teams. When you're constantly going last hit, last stock like that, you can't really get much. I mean, it's the minimum amount of points right here. And A-Fly was supposed to be one of like the heavy hitters. So if they came to play that much, then it could be a little tougher for Canisius College than they expected. I mean, Canisius College had big hopes going into this. They started out in EGFC seeded number 1 in the first season, and they ended up in 4th, and they haven't been up in that, they've always been good, but they've never been that good anymore. They're looking to take back the title now.
Right. It feels like for Canisius, they're kind of chasing history, right? They're trying to get back to that point. And, it's been one of their keys is that they are wanting to get back into the upper echelon of that MAC conference. But with teams like Marist on the rise and teams like Quinnipiac on the rise and Siena, who's been the champion of that conference for the past 2 seasons, it's been so difficult for them, which is why these are the important matches for really both of these teams to kind of separate themselves from the middle of the pack, give themselves a chance down the line.
Yeah, and Canisius College definitely has the tools to do that. They hyped up a lot of their players. We'll see who they end up going with next because, well, they've definitely got options. Like, that is the one thing I keep bringing up again and again. Canisius College, so many options for how they want to really approach this. The Game & Watch counter pick being gone is a little bit tough.
Yeah. One of the players who Canisius kind of expects to be a heavy hitter off the board early, but securing a set win for them is a good start. Now it looks like they've locked in Weebson as their next player, and I believe that's the Dark Pit.
Yeah, Dark Pit and Me Brawler, but like you said, definitely well known for the more lower tier. Which one do you think that is, Soy? Hotly debated topic, but not anymore. Come on, Me Brawler's good now. ESAM said so. But the Dark Pit, on the other hand, can be a little tougher to get mileage off of, but with a lot of really good burst options and some surprisingly early kills off of the arrows, definitely some sauce you can get.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen... I think there was a Me Brawler in the league way back in year 1, but I don't think there's been one since, so it'd be interesting to see the pocket pick. But we've seen this Dark Pit have, again, kind of flashes of brilliance, right? Moments where they're able to really ride their momentum and secure stocks. But then there are times when they get a little too aggressive or they get overextended and they're punished for it and end up losing the set for it. So it's really a matter of, can they put it all together on the same week? And Ryder looking to find their way back into this one.
Yeah, and it's definitely feasible right now, as Ryder trying to figure out exactly who they're sending out. Again, with all of the new players, they said there's a lot of mysteries. They had actually pointed out to me that even if we know who they're going, quote, no, that we should expect different characters every week, because all these people are looking to play Smash in person on a team for the first time, learn new characters. And if that Snake was a new character, then I envy their coaching.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you got to remember, this is a team that, despite last week's DQ to internet problems, they were keeping pace with Sienna. They were keeping pace with the top tier team in the MAC conference. So if Ryder can kind of keep that going, keep that momentum rolling, keep that ball going, it's going to be very tough for a team like Canisius with a bunch of young players to compete with them.
Yeah, for sure. And now, as we're waiting here, let's just take a look at, and again, I apologize for the delay. I thank everyone for your patience as we're getting into the next match as soon as we can. But let's take a quick look at what the bracket is looking like so far. Or not the bracket, rather, the schedule. Because definitely some good matches coming up later in the day. But we already started off with Fairfield versus Marist. And, well, Marist still looking dominant. Over 20 points, but they actually lost their first set, their first game to Fairfield right at the end. So maybe some cracks starting the show. They're not too worried, though.
Yeah, Marist had a fantastic showing against Fairfield, and then obviously we are into this Canisius versus Ryder matchup right now. But later on in the day, Wichita State versus George Washington. This will be yours and my first time casting Wichita State this year. They were kind of one of those underdog teams, those dark horses that really surprised a lot of teams late in the season. And George Washington, they've looked strong since week one. And then we end the day on a very fun matchup. St. John's, the Titan Slayers, going up against one of the teams they were able to beat last year and possibly a new rival in the University of Colorado.
Yeah, looking to get the run back right there as... Man, University of Colorado, they look strong for sure, but there have definitely been some cracks, like dropping some uncharacteristic sets every now and then, and sure, they still win pretty handedly, but I don't know, if you don't come to play all the time, then you're vulnerable to teams like St. John's.
Yeah, and Colorado too, I mean, they fell last week. They have a history with St. John's as well. They went 1-1 last year against the Red Storm. And Colorado was one of those teams that actually ended up being top 4 the EGF. They were in the semifinal and fell to Mississippi State. And they actually fell to Mississippi State last week. So they're looking to bounce back from a tough loss there. So it feels like, those back 2 matchups that we've got on our schedule here are going to be really important for these teams.
Yeah. Again, we're just trying to figure out how exactly we're going to be going about these stage bans. It shouldn't be this long every single time. And I do actually want to talk a little bit about George Washington because, well, they're a team we've gotten very familiar with here at EGF SSBU. Oh, yeah. As, George Washington in particular. Some definite improvements, but they came on really hyped up, and it's easy to understand why. They got some huge wins really, really late in the season, and they upset the number 1 team in the playoffs. But this season, they've beaten the lower tier teams and lost to the higher tier teams. at the moment looking like a very solid middle of the pack team. What they need is some very dominant performances right at the gate to say, hey, you got to keep us in the running.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're sitting at 1-1, but it's been they went from a matchup where they dominated. They beat Seton Hall, I believe it was 30-3 in that set. And then they went up against William and Mary, who are in the same conference, in the same division as George Washington. And that's just a tough ask week 2, because William and Mary was one of those, again, kind of top tier. They were part of the terrifying trio that sat atop the EGF last season for nearly the entirety of the regular season. So tough ask in week 2. And like you said, for George Washington to kind of continue that championship mentality, they need big wins. And so Wichita State is one of these teams that I think if you're George Washington, you should be in that mindset of, we have to just snowball this team. We just have to try and, take off, from the start, just have the ball already rolling. And we'll have to see how that one goes, because Wichita State, I mean, they're a team that I think has surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I can't say I know for certain where they rest. It's still very early in the season, but it's looking like we are getting the final button checks ready now. So hopefully we can get a little more info about, who they're running, because again, Rider University, a lot of question marks. We're hoping to get a little more information on just what kind of characters they're fielding. Because obviously, player more important than the character. That's always been the case. But I don't know. Dark Pit definitely has some matchups he struggles in.
Yeah, and so does Me Brawler, right? When you're playing that tier of characters that when you're not playing one of the top 10 characters in the game, there are some matchups that just kind of hurt to play, right? You just look at the character select screen, you go, oh boy, not this again, right? And so we'll have to see what Ryder brings to the table. But again, this is a huge kind of point of emphasis for both of these teams, that they've got to find ways to win these sets. There were a lot of games last year for Canisius where a lot of these younger players, they went even or they lost, and they ended up on the wrong side of the coin flip more than often. And so for a player like Weebson to be locked in here as the number 2 spot, it puts a lot of emphasis on him to find a way to win this set. He was 2-2 last year, but his losses were far more damaging than his wins. So if he can find a way to mitigate those losses and end up on heads more than tails, right, then we'll see how Canisius really stacks up in the map.
And I'm actually surprised we're not seeing the Me Brawler, because we actually are going to Battlefield, and maybe Me Brawler might struggle a little bit against the Corin, but either way, characters that kill at the top on Battlefield are just another beast in their own. But immediate aggression, showing why the Dark Pit is coming out in the first place. But you only get a little bit of chip damage before it kind of gets reset by getting clipped by that update.
Yeah, and going up against Mediocre Indigo's Corin, I believe Mediocre Indigo is one of the new players to this Rider roster, and at a little bit of a deficit here, but Corin is one of those characters that we've seen kind of turn matches around before.
Yeah, but with how Weebson's keeping them at the ledge, it's not looking as likely. I do like that just no-nonsense arrow. You could maybe get a bigger punish, but it's a bait. You can't get caught by that pin, otherwise you're just asking for trouble. So instead, what they do is just put a little bit more emphasis on just shutting it down, showing that you can't go for side B and center stage.
A little bit of a deficit here is Mediocre Indigo, and again, really struggling to find a way back to stage, and that forward smash will clean up the stock. Weebson up 1.
Falling back here too, into the down air. The conversion's 52% for Weebson, and it's continuing. Gonna get clipped by the dragon in the end, but even so, holding on to this stock, looking to land safely with those shields. Mediocre Indigo not even attempting the edge guard, instead just getting the ledge trap with that side B.
Really good spacing on that side B, finding the sweet spot of it and connecting underneath the shield of Weebson.
gonna miss the second 2-frame though. And with that not connecting, it's gonna be a little rougher. Sending straight out with that side B. But not quite able to finish off with those 2 whipped smash attacks in a row. You can see very desperate to get this kill at this point, but you can understand why.
Yeah, it doesn't want to allow Mediocre Indigo back into this match. Is that forward throw going to do it? No, not quite yet. Still surviving. I believe he still has a jump to get sniped for it. The arrows cleaning up the stock.
Yeah, is now Mediocre Indigo. The impression on that platform is getting a little predictable, it seems. Going in onto the shield with that side is getting punished so hard. But you're still able to get some percent off of those drills, but not that one. That one's going to get you punished.
Another good arrow. That's an early up B, and I don't think he's got the drift on it to make it back to ledge. That's an unfortunate way to fall in game 1.
Yeah, as with the dark pit out of the dark pit out, there's obviously no need to switch it up. You had some pretty dominant performances, and I felt like most of the mileage that Mediocre Indigo got was off of just little mistakes. And, well, if you're able to clean that up, you might be able to get a straight-up shutout for Canisius College.
Yeah, there was a lot to like there for the side of Weepson. I really liked, I mean, one of Corrin's moves that you saw a lot of was that side B, right? That pin into the ground. And eventually, I think as the match went on, Weepson really started to get a feel for the spacing of that move, and you started to see that the swing off of that side B never really got to come out because he was able to jump and back air it, or jump and nair it, or jump and forward air it. Just something to interrupt that move. And so a huge part of Corrin's kit just got eliminated as that match went on.
Yeah. And the question is, how are you going to deal with Corrin's recovery? Because we're recovering as Corrin is a better way to phrase it. Because as we saw at the end, one arrow off stage is sometimes all you need. They're not quite as tracked down as Pits, but they send a kind of nasty angle. Not popping up like Pits, instead just a slight downwards tumble. And for Corrin, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, and I mean, numerous times we saw Weepson take advantage of Corrin's recovery. So there are some tricks that you can pull as Corrin to try and make your recovery a little bit slipperier, for lack of a better way of saying it, elusive. Things like using back air to push yourself closer to the ledge, or holding on to your jump, something along those lines that every character can do. It was really just the pressure that Weepson applied that made it so difficult for him to get back to stage.
Mm-hmm. So we are going to be looking to go to Smashville, it seems. So that's interesting to me, but I do understand the logic. Maybe they felt that Weebson was a little too slippery, so they want to try and close the distance a little better, control the inner platform. But either way, if you're over top of the platform, it's going to be even tougher.
It really is. Something I'm looking for here from Mediocre Indigo is that I don't know if we saw a lot of Nair last game from Corrin, and that's a big move for Corrin to land. And so if he can start landing those on stage, it's going to be a lot closer of a fight. But look again at the pressure that Weepson's applying.
I love the little turnarounds they do to make it unclear on whether they're actually going to fire the arrow, which they are. Like, there's no reason to fire it behind you. But it's just a little mind game that Mediocre Indigo is having trouble kind of getting the landing.
Good air dodge back around that arrow to get back to center stage.
Ooh, and actually landing with the reflector completely beat out that projectile as well. Nice little recovery option there with the side B. But now you're above pit once again. Still not able to find a kill though. Weebson's struggling a little bit with that. That was enough to smash out a shield. But either way, you're eventually able to connect the up air, get the kill. Weebson still on the board, still really controlling the pace of this game.
And it feels like, again, he's taking advantage of the lack of recovery options for Corrin, but it feels like Weepson's just kind of going down the checklist. Like, okay, he's burned his jump, let me fire an arrow here. Okay, he's burned his air dodge, let me cover this section. And it feels like he's just kind of going down the list and finding each option.
Yes. Now that down throw is going to convert into just more damage. Going to avoid the instant arrow up. Kind of that Falco throw kind of stuff. But either way, Mediocre Indigo, how are they going to find this kill?
It's a good parry into F-tilt to get him off of that side of the stage, but again, just kind of struggling to find one of Corrin's strong hits here.
Yeah, getting the pin right there, but not quite the strong hit on that either. 138 as Weepson gets off ledge, and it's immediate side beat. With the armor, there's no hesitation.
Yep, and actually, okay, so Weepson, I think, thought the dash attack was going to cross him up, and so he went for the forward smash and whiffed on it because it didn't cross him up. So Mediocre Indigo kind of getting away with one there, and he's able to clean up that first stock, but now can he find a way to hold on to the second one?
Yeah, it's looking like Weepson is able to get the air dodge read. Is that the jump gone? Yeah. And with the fully charged, I mean, they were dead anyway, but you gotta get the style.
The up B going to get a little bit of damage on the Weepson here, but he's going to need a lot more damage if he's going to find a way back into the set. Down a full stock, and Weepson right now with a lot of good stage control.
Yeah, for sure. As that up smash is going to connect, just get chip on more percent. That's all you need to do, Soy, you know? Oh, but with the pineapple right there, you're all done for. Even more points on the board for Canisius College, as after a little bit of a shaky start, which, I don't know, calling one game 3 shaky, a little beyond me, but either way, you're going to be doing just fine in that one. Moving on to their next player with 10 points on the board.
Yeah, that's a big lead for these two schools, and because remember, the maximum amount of points you can earn in a set is 8, so Ryder really needs this third set to give themselves a chance in those next two. So this is a very pivotal set coming up. They do get the player counter pick. Canisius has to log in who they are sending into this third spot. So that's the good news. But the bad news is Weepson was in full control of that matchup.
Yeah, 100%. Once they started getting the reads on the recoveries, you saw the fully charged arrows coming out, and that just straight up kills. You're out of there. The blaster fires off. And there really wasn't a ton that they could do about it. I mean, they didn't have any mix-up options. They weren't using back air to try and get above the stage before they did. They just ended up having to drift into it once the jump was gone.
Yeah, and it just... Again, I feel like Weepson just kind of went down the checklist of options, especially since back air was off the table for most of that match. It was just like, okay, jump gone, air dodge gone, where to next? And he was able to find those kills.
Mm-hmm. As it's looking like it is going to be another one of the heavy hitters coming out. It's going to be Yoshi Man 929. A name I remember quite well, but even if I didn't remember, Soy, could you enlighten me on who Yoshimed 929 plays?
Well, as the name implies, he's got a Yoshi, and but we have seen on occasion the Bowser Jr. counter pick, so we'll have to see who he opts for. Typically, he goes for the Yoshi, but Yoshi Man was one of those players that was really the standout for Ryder. Last season, he went 8-5 in his set counts, and that was on a Ryder team that was towards the bottom of the MAC conference. So he was worth a lot of points for this team last year, and to send him here in this third spot, this pivotal third match, it's a sign of Ryder kind of throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah, you've got to get some points on the board at this midpoint, otherwise you're just throwing stuff away. But they're going up against a Byleth player, it looks like, in the form of E-Dog. And I know Yoshi can do some stuff, but definitely struggles with the disjoints. I mean, every character says, oh, they struggle with disjoints. Who doesn't? But Yoshi in particular definitely has some trouble even getting back to stage, you know?
Yeah, and E-Dog is one of those players who he's kind of gone through his own gauntlet of characters too. I think he's had the most success on this Byleth, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue to run it here. But even last week, he went Captain Falcon. We've also seen Bowser from him way back in Season 1, so he's another one of those players where looking to be on the right side of the coin flip more often than not, and he's got a tall task ahead of him here in Yoshi Man.
Definitely achievable, though. Definitely achievable. I don't think they're just using a throwaway player here. I think at everyone there that they don't want to risk quite yet, E-Dog is the correct pick. But I do think Yoshi has some options. The main thing that Yoshi has that I really like is kill confirms. You got down throw, you got up tilt. Forward tilt isn't quite a kill confirm, but it puts them above you as good as any up there. So see if they're able to utilize that to their advantage. As you can see, we're just trying to get the button checks in now.
And the other thing I like about Yoshi too, that we see one or two other Yoshis here in this league do, is the amount of shield pressure Yoshi can do, right? The up B is not the greatest shield pressure, but things like down air, down B, the amount of shield poke and shield pressure those moves do. If Yoshi Man can continue to utilize those moves properly and use them kind of sparingly, because you don't want to throw those moves out willy-nilly, then E-Dog could be in some trouble.
Yeah, Byleth definitely has some trouble out of shield. The up B out of shield, definitely one of the better ones. Nair out of shield is good, but it is a little tougher to confirm on Yoshi, who can just drift around and cross up non-stop. And the cross-ups are what I'm looking on possibly the most, Soy, because Yoshi is the fastest airspeed in the game. There's no one better at cross-up physically than he is. So you see how they do, is they're actually electing to go for their Captain Falcon secondary instead of the Byleth. I don't hate this.
I mean, Captain Falcon can definitely do some work on this Yoshi, but again, we'll have to see, because one of the things about this matchup in particular that you're going to want to look for is E-Dog loves to use that up B out of shield. And against Yoshi, it may not be as great of an option.
Yeah, certainly not, as they do get the grab out of shield, but it's quickly mashed out of. And right now, Yoshi Man has a bit of a deficit, but that forward smash sitting tech chase is good, but the dash isn't quite the spacing that you would have wanted. As you can see, they're going to be ending up off stage again. Still the jump going way high, but now they're caught without a jump. Landing with the down air, though, is an opportunity. Gonna whip the up air and get stomped in return.
He wanted a little bit more of an extension. He wanted the up B afterward as well, but he wasn't able to find it. Yoshi Man wants that up smash on the platform, but he's not able to land it either. That down B connects, and now E-Dog, a little bit of off-stage play. I think both players kind of tunnel visioning on where they want to go.
Yeah, as now, E-Dog, you there? Alright, yourself back in the game, as they do end up running right into that forward smash from across the stage, but hey, if it can happen to Light, it can happen to you. As Yoshi Man 929 is going to be going incredibly deep off stage, and I do love the tricky movement to get back on with the up B.
I actually like the idea to try and punish with the Falcon side B, but well done by Yoshi Man to get out of the spacing of it. And now look at the damage he's done to E-Dog here, 121, and now he's sitting at kill percent.
Yeah, and there's just the forward air right there into the read on the platform. Yoshi Man, not a complete winning scenario yet, but if they're able to build a little bit of a lead, these trades have definitely been going their way.
Yeah, E-Dog's got to play super careful here, but look at that grab and the damage he can do off of it. Quick 43. Now a chance for a turnaround, but can't quite find the back air.
Yeah, But there's the back throw, but you've got to respect that back air. That thing will mess you up from across the stage. And it can even combo into itself depending on where you are, so you've got to be wary. You don't give it a little too much respect, but either way, you're going to get the opportunity now to swing a little more.
Yoshiman doing a fantastic job of holding on to his stock, too, despite being hit to the corner multiple times. Well, as I say it, he'll eat that Falcon kick to lose his stock, but, I mean, Yoshiman playing a great game around these corners.
Yeah, and now Yoshiman faces a little bit of predicament, but they're able to double jump right out of that combo. Not too worried about what E-Dog is bringing to the table, as... yeah, misreading that roll completely. Now they're able to get the second side, but again, it's just instant hands onto these platforms. But, falling their way back into this, breaking double jump armor off stage, might be enough to get the kill.
I felt like he was tempting fate with that. He was holding up smash and decided to challenge it with Falcon kick, but oh my, the forward smash from Yoshiman cleaning up that match, and Ryder is back on the board.
Yeah, Rider University definitely making good use of Yoshiman, but I don't think Canisius was completely out of that one, Soy. I mean, there were several situations where Yoshiman 929 was sweating. And there was no way around that. You've got to... I do feel like the ability to escape those low percent combos was really crucial because it kind of tripped up their game plan. E-Dog really had trouble adapting around that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of the low percent combos that we typically see from Captain Falcon weren't there. And when you don't have that, guaranteed percentage on certain characters, you start swinging for the fences a little bit early, which I think is what you saw there. I mean, how many times did he push Yoshiman to the corner and just constantly throw out that back air, and he could never quite find the spacing on it? So we'll have to see. I mean, like you said, I think that's got to be the change here in game number 2, is that you've got to have those early combos and hold back on those reads, because it felt a little desperate at times.
Yeah. I mean, we got that one good setup, but you can't rely too heavily on those. I mean, it's the same song and dance, because you can keep saying you can't keep relying on reads unless people keep walking into them, unless people keep sticking to their habits. So it's more on E-Dog to try and vary how you're doing your approach options, where you're finding your openings, and try and be a little more guaranteed so you don't just drop anything.
Yeah, and remember that Yoshiman is also starting to catch on to E-Dog's habits, so this game too, the punishes are going to be a lot harder. Think of the numerous times that match when E-Dog would go for a side B, the Raptor boost, and Yoshiman would be able to dash away from it, get outside of the spacing of that move. He even cleaned up last match with it with the forward smash. And what a character swap! What?
Okay, so jumping completely off of there, I mentioned the Byleth, which is what they're going to be rocking, but instead Yoshiman going over to the King DDD. Interesting.
Yeah, second King DDD of the day, and not one we have seen from Yoshiman, I believe. Not since maybe way back in Season 2, but against Byleth, I feel like a lot of the same issues are going to apply. That sword just does so much damage.
And they're able to hit that one. Going for the falling Nair conversion, but not going to connect it, as they are forced to respect the borders a lot of the time, because committing to hitting it back can be a little tricky. Not going for the drag down off of that up air, instead just getting the full damage as they charge up that side B, but it's not worth holding on to that. Going for the full ledge trap instead.
I actually liked that second arrow off stage for me, Dog. A little bit of a mix-up. You don't normally see Byleth throw 2 arrows onto stage when they're trying to recover, but that's a well-spaced back air, and Yoshiman going to take the first stock.
Yeah. And yeah, that was pretty... going for the projectile trade, but it's not going to work, as now you get the grab, get the bread and butter. Yoshiman kind of playing around Byleth's weaknesses, being right underneath the character. Landing like that is going to get you punished, but either way, Yoshiman keeping a solid lead.
And that's a good stock for E-Dog to take. I actually really like the spacing on it. He recognizes that star only goes so far once he lands, and Byleth's sword it just covers so much space and he gets the tipper of it.
As E-Dog gets the throw off stage. And oh, that spike right there, that's going to be painful. That's really painful.
And that was huge, too. That's the second time we've seen E-Dog really challenge a charged-up smash attack. So he just does not have fear going in on these players.
Yeah, as Yoshiman, between the borders right here, he is going to get miles, but again, excuse me. Just keeping E-Dog above them. You're out of the true combo range, so instead you just want to try and get the juggles, or just have some shenanigans at ledge as you make E-Dog incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's a good early up B to get back to stage. Actually gets trumped for it, and this is dangerous once again to get back to center stage. I really like how E-Dog has kind of adapted here, because it feels like now he's really making this game about the spacing of that sword, and he's able to punish that dash attack with the down air.
Yeah, and that's so hard hitting too. Now max rage for E-Dog, a chance to bring this to a game 3, but they've got to play carefully. Because again, if Yoshiman gets you above them, they have a tendency for being able to track you down, but nice conversions. Not quite connecting that down air, way outside of that special hitbox, but either way. That's gonna kill? Okay. But yeah, going for that fully charged air, that is a little cheeky.
Yeah, at one, oh my goodness, that forward smash nearly killed. And that was from nearly center stage. That shows you the power of the hitbox. Oh no, you can't inhale that one. Yoshi, man, losing game number 2 here by a stock.
Genuinely, Soy? I'm not sure what happened there.
I thought he was going to inhale it. I thought he had it.
Did he drop the inhale at just the wrong moment? Because
I
I'm fairly
guess.
certain that inhale works, but maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. Either way, that means Yoshiman is going to be down a point. Rider University gets another point on the board, and we do have a game 3 on our hands. I'm not sure if you stick it out with the DDD. Maybe you will, but it felt a little bit cheeky. I mean, you saw the down tilts at ledge again and again and again. They're just having fun with it, you know?
Yeah, and it really is an interesting question to ask if you're Yoshi, man, because again, we talked about Byleth is a hard character for both of Yoshi Man's options to really play into, right? Because Byleth just does so much damage and can deal with a lot of what Yoshi Man brings to the table. And here's the third option, Bowser Jr. So trying to answer that projectile game once more.
And do I hear 5 characters? 5 characters. Only one short of the legendary 6. As Yoshiman 929 rather. It's gonna be sticking to the Bowser Jr., but ooh, that's an early spike and an early kill. The stage spike. We saw someone going for that earlier again and again and again, and it did not connect, but Yoshiman was able to.
I'm actually kind of shocked because that, like you saw, that situation looked so good for E-Dog. He gets the up B, he gets the downward aerial off of it, and then all of a sudden, the up B ends up gimping him instead. So that's a huge, I mean, that's like getting the wind knocked out of your sails if you're E-Dog.
And trying to bait something there with the perfect dash forward, but either way, they're going to end up being punished. Yoshiman will maintain the advantage. 6% on the board. For every triple get to the disjoint, but the crown car first option isn't really being dealt with by E-Dog.
And he's eating a little bit of percent for it too. At 74 here, he's got to play very carefully around this ledge, but I don't know if he's able to connect a lot of these projectiles. It gets Yoshi Man up to 67.
Yeah, now more than ever, you've got to be cautious. Ooh, that cannonball right there. Actually, this is a really good thing. E-Dog has been hanging on the ledge so much. Bowser Jr. has a lot of really strong options to punish that. But, ooh, the jab lock into the up B isn't quite going to convert at this percent. But Yoshi Man's still holding on. Committing fully to that up B, though. That's going to hurt you on stage.
Yeah. And again, I don't mind the option to go for that up B, but it was a little ambitious and just a smart reaction by E-Dog to say, hey, he's a light character that I can get to. But that should clean up stock number 2 off of E-Dog, so Yoshi Man able to answer right back.
Forcing the air dodge with the cannon and then punishing with the up B. That's very nice. But is it enough? Is Yoshi there now? Just needs that one big opener to kind of even up these percents. But waiting, not going for the immediate downer this time, getting a little more aware of where your combo options work at this percent.
Oh, they wanted a second Mecha Koopa, but not gonna get it. And E-Dog able to take advantage of it as now Yoshi Man's got to play so carefully here. Possibly an opening, but a good air dodge from E-Dog.
And then there's a dash attack. Some nice drag downs with these down airs, but not able to convert that into anything. And not able to forward throw either. Maybe hoping for a breakout because you were so greedy with that rapid jab. Just a landing back air. That's all you need.
Chance to grow.
That will be the reversal right there. Reverse 2-1 as they're able to bring it back in the game 3, put some points on Canisius College's name when it looked like Yoshi Man was going to be the heavy hitter.
Yeah, that's a huge win for E-Dog, and I feel like the story of this match was just kind of never get too overzealous, right? Never get too confident, because there were a ton of options I felt like were a little ambitious, and they all ended up getting punished, and you see there, it's the loss of the set for Yoshi Man because of it.
Yeah. And out of the 3 characters, which were you the biggest fan of? I mean, obviously, I like the Yoshi. I've been a Yoshi fan since Melee, but the Bowser Jr. had some stuff. It was nice. Very good at punishing air dodge reads. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't up to par, you know? So
yeah, no, I agree. If I had to highlight 2 characters there, 2 of the 3, I would have gone with the Yoshi and the Bowser Jr. And it's nothing against the King Dedede. It just wasn't as clean or I think as practiced as the other 2.
Oh, for sure. As now getting into the latter half of the set, it's getting a little tougher for Ryder. They had high hopes going into game 1 with a win, getting a point on the board, and then they got another point on the board a while later. And now, if all you're able to get is 1 point here or there and no dominant victories, then it's more or less game over for you before the clock strikes noon, you know?
Yeah, a 12-point difference is it's not insurmountable, but it's very difficult to overcome. The Ryder really needs one of those big victories to get themselves back into this set. And the way these sets have played out, the fact that these first 3 matches have been so tightly contested, it looks really difficult for Ryder to come back in this one.
For sure, Soy. As now we've got 2 players left, technically possible. And it's going to be Daku Sky versus Poncho. What we got on them, Soy?
So, Deku Sky is one of these players that has kind of been in and out of this roster from time to time. He only played in, I think, 2 or 3 games last season, and he went even. But he's also one of those players that has kind of swapped off characters. Way back in season 1, he was a Zelda player and had a lot of he was very successful against a lot of these kind of middle of the pack teams. He had a bunch of 3 stocks with that Zelda, but then ever since Sephiroth came out, he has switched over to Sephiroth, and the results, although they haven't been the same, his wins are still very dominant. It's just a matter of, can he continue to win? Because like I said, his record on Sephiroth is just about even. So it's a coin flip's chance of what you get that week. but he is one of those players that I think Canisius kind of puts a big emphasis on.
Yeah, I like both the characters. I feel like I could definitely see how Zelda could be a little more consistent, just due to the fact that Sephiroth is a light, tall character who, when you run into someone who can exploit that, it can hurt badly. And, well, it's rough. It's really rough for them. So, going into this, you're going to try and mitigate Sephiroth's weaknesses by being constantly on the move, making sure you have good use of one wing, good movement with your double jumps around the platforms whenever you want to engage. And of course, be threatening. You don't need to have constant hitboxes out there, but you need to demonstrate that your hitboxes are going to be deadly when you just choose to display them.
Yeah, and again, it's the classic tale of Sephiroth can control the pace of a match really well, and that's something I think that Canisius kind of lacks as a roster. They don't have a lot of characters that really dictate the pace of a match. So to have a character like Sephiroth or Zelda with all the projectiles that she can use at her disposal can control the pace of a matchup and put the emphasis on their opponent to adapt. And so Poncho here is going to have I think a really difficult time. We're not sure what character he plays. I believe he's one of the rookies to the EGF making his debut. So a lot of pressure on him to perform here.
Yeah. As we said, a lot of rookies on Ryder, over 20 plus candidates. I don't know what their roster actually came down to. If they have that many players, I highly doubt it. But either way, Ryder showing some new stuff here. We'll see how the new sauce holds up, as it is going to be the canon matchup.
Yeah, Cloud versus Sephiroth, and they're going to Battlefield to start. So that's going to be Deku Sky on the Cloud and Poncho, Deku Sky on the Sephiroth and Poncho on the Cloud.
Yeah, immediately trying to get sort of tech chase on the platform, but not really able to connect it. The up out of shield, though, I expect that's going to be a pattern. This Deku Sky just sort of feeling it out right now, trying to find a good way in. Avoiding that up air completely, though.
I feel like that neutral B of Poncho is actually going to do a lot of work because it's going to force Deku Sky to, respond to it in some way. He can't just stand there and back away. And that's a good reflector to get Poncho off of him, but it gives him limit break.
Yeah, and then there's the tech chase with the dash attack that Sephiroth's love, and the up smash gets Cloud above you. Gonna avoid that up air, though, for the time being. Now, that was a big opportunity for a punish, but wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger.
That and dies to the dash attack from Cloud as well. That dash attack is surprisingly good. Comes out quick, does a ton of knockback, and is able to seal away that first stock. But now, this is the key. Can Poncho survive? And he cannot. Great sweet spot there from Deku Sky.
Yeah, just completely impaled. And then trying to get a little bit of pressure with these wide hitboxes. Nair into the forward air. It's some nice guaranteed damage. Deku Sky, after a little bit of a deficit earlier, starting to keep it even. But Poncho is going to make it easy.
And now playing around this corner, Deku Sky is able to make it back, but this is going to be a big part of the matchup too. Poncho on Deku Sky's shield. I don't think Sephiroth has great out of shield options, but Poncho really making Deku Sky's decision making difficult.
Yeah, especially as, that's game. Not game, but that's cannot survive a Giga player from that range. And that is the tricky thing. Sephiroth, not only a character with a lot of shield break setups, but is also one of the ones who is in best position to actually punish it.
I'm actually really shocked that down smash broke the shield. That just goes to show you how dangerous that move can be. And now Poncho at a deficit but not insurmountable by any means. He's got Deku Sky at above 100%, and he's got to the corner, falls out of the up B back onto stage. That's a huge whiff.
Yeah, especially as with the one wing, you want this stock fast. You want it gone. But even then, that shield's getting a little low. Don't shield right there. Yeah, going for the cross with the dash attack. You can see how much they want that down smash. They want that shield gone. But the short hop gets you right over the forward smash, and that'll be enough to get stopped.
That's huge too, because look at, oh, he interrupted Limit Break. Poncho threw out, I didn't see what it was, but he's lost Limit Break for it. But I was going to say, that stock was massive to take because Poncho was only at 22%, and about even things back up, but Deku Sky back with a little bit of a percent advantage here.
And I love how Deku Sky isn't doing anything too committal. Giving a lot of respect to Poncho right now. Play around this platform, try to find a way to land around those blade beams, but they're always a little too slow on the trigger to get the up airs, to get the strings going. And, well, that wasn't them being slow on the trigger. Up smash is just a slow move right there.
Oh, no. I was going to say, with Limit Break on, that's a stock that's very vulnerable if you're Deku Sky. Sephiroth, again, one of the lighter characters on the roster.
Yeah, as try and land with that reflector, it's not going to be enough. Just snapping right to ledge, don't want to play around with that. But there's the trade. Who's getting the better end of it? It's Deku Sky. Right at the end, manages to clutch it out. After they had the lead, lost it. It looked like that Poncho was running away with it. Deku Sky was able to bring it back. Sephiroth getting a game on the board.
Yeah, that's a huge game for Deku Sky to take. Puts him up in the set, and it's like you said. I mean, that was a nail biter of a set, or that was a nail biter of a game, because it felt like Deku Sky, while he had control of the pace of the match, Poncho was able to weave his way in and out and find his openings to get things back to even.
Yeah, for sure. As Deku Sky, I feel like, had the right idea most of the time. Like, they were able to get very safe options, but they weren't reacting to a lot of the bursts, and they weren't reacting. It feels like if they just, like, input a little bit sooner, just preemptively, they might be a little more consistent with their damage. Like, it was a nail biter. Just how many times they were above them, and I saw the up air coming out, and then the air dodge was a second later. It's like fighting a level 9 CPU. They will air dodge out of anything.
Yeah, and I think one of the turning points of that set was the second stock. Right after Poncho loses his second stock, Deku Sky's at a very high percent, and he goes for a shield break early because he realizes how much shield pressure he's done, and he just throws out 2-3 down smashes in a row, ends up losing his stock for it. And I think that's one of those moments where you kind of have to take a step back, because although you want that shield break because it would do so much for you, you have to be able to play for your stock. You have to let off that gas a little bit, and then you'll get your opportunity to go back in, because he loses the stock and he gets lucky on the fact that he traded. I wonder what he traded with to get rid of Cloud's Limit Break.
Yeah, I mean, Sephiroth does actually have a lot of quick options, plus a lot of options to pressure the high platforms like that. And speaking of high platforms, it looks like we are going to be going to Battlefield. This is a little tricky. It makes your landing options very difficult, because Sephiroth is one of those characters that can just cover all the options without putting themselves in danger at all.
Yeah, and so it's going to be, again, kind of a huge emphasis on Poncho to find his way back onto stage, especially since there's so many options for or that Deku Sky can cover, because that sword just covers so much space. But like you said, weaving your way in and out of this sword is the name of the game, really. And Poncho did a pretty good job of it throughout that game one. We'll see what the mix-up here is in game two.
Sky trying to land with the Nair, but underneath these platforms, it's so difficult. It's a little conversion that gets some more percent onto Daku Sky, but now they're holding the center stage. And they catch the roll in too. Now you've got Poncho thinking twice about how they want to move around. They go for the shield pressure, but that dash attack with only one Shadow Flare on there, it's not going to do anything.
Ooh, he might have dipped too low, and that's going to be stock number 1 off the board of Daku Sky. Just dipped a little bit too far.
Yes, certainly. Just look at this, just double jumping around. Very good, clean, fast fall movement right here as Daku Sky tries to mix it up, but you're still stuck behind. You've got to get more of the movement. You've got to get aggressive if you want to find the way in. But it's just so tough. When Cloud is holding center stage, the up B out of shield is kind of a free get-up option unless you hard read it.
Yeah, and the fact that Poncho has the lead with it too just makes it so important for Daku Sky, because now any time he goes in for that trade, that up B is just so vital. It does so much damage. It just makes it so much more difficult for Daku Sky.
Send Poncho off. Not able to quite find the kill though, as they're trying to really pressure. Ooh. That cross slash on shield, that was a little scary, but Daku Sky was able to hold the line right there and not going for the same thing again. But that will kill. The thing about Sephiroth's up B, it always sends out.
And kind of surprising too, but I mean, that sword, as we said, is massive, so clipping above the stage and catching Poncho to secure that stock gonna tie things back up, but Daku Sky had a huge disadvantage here, already at 96. And Poncho, a very low percent, but oh my, quick 30 on him.
Throwing them off there, trying to pressure the ledge, forcing a get-up option right there. Because with the one wing, it's a much bigger threat range. Poncho is ready for it, going all the way out with the blade beam. And now Poncho up.
I love that. Just go off stage, go get him with the blade beam. You know Daku Sky's got to hold on to that recovery, and he just reads it beautifully and snipes him.
Early down smash again. But that time, clipping above the ledge will be enough to really hurt you, and you cover every option when you hesitate right there. At any point, Daku Sky could have just canceled it too and punished. They've really had Poncho red.
Yeah, can't hesitate on the ledge against Sephiroth, and so now things back to even. But Poncho's still with a little bit of a percent lead, but that grab could be big.
And Daku Sky could definitely get some mileage off of this. If you know now that they're always going to pick an instant ledge get-up option when they see that flare coming, you can maybe get some harder reads with forward smashes and whatnot. See how they're able to use that bit of information here as they, well, struggle even to get Poncho off stage.
Good shield on that up B. Doesn't want to get caught by that again. And Poncho, again, this is the difficulty, struggling to find a way in, finds himself above Sephiroth, has to find a way back down, but that cross slash is huge, damages back to even.
Yeah, just running in with these up airs, you want it so bad, and that's the shield pressured quite a bit. I'm expecting we're going to see another down smash, but instead, playing it safe. Like I said, this is what I like when Daku Sky doesn't overcommit.
Very tense for these two players, and Poncho adds a little bit of an ambitious forward smash, going to get punished, and this is going to be a lot of damage. This is very difficult for Poncho.
Again, the Shadow Flares on them. They forced another get-up option, but actually saved their life as they're able to avoid the second Giga Flare. Shield pressure down. One wing versus limit. It's the final battle right here, and they get the roll behind read. And just like that, Poncho sends it to a game 3. Daku Sky couldn't hold up under the pressure.
Yeah, huge read there from Poncho, and I mean, we've seen a lot of rolls from Daku Sky, but that was just a good call out from out of the corner. And Daku Sky, again, it felt like he kind of had control of that matchup, but Poncho just found one too many openings. And again, survivability playing a huge key. He's at 160%. Any stray hit against Cloud is probably going to kill him there, but not able to get limit away from him. Rolls into that cross slash, and Sephiroth not able to survive.
Yeah, normally you'd want to just play to not let them get limit at all, but gave him a little too much space. And I did like the use of the Shadow Flares coming out a little more, because every time we saw it, it actually, except for the one time where it messed up your Giga Flare setup, but every time we saw those Shadow Flares, it really put Poncho in such a bad position. So I'm hoping we're able to see that again coming in later in this set. There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and I don't think we might see Battlefield one more time, but I'm curious to see where these players will go after 2 matches on a very compact stage. I'm curious to see if they opt for a stage now with a lot more space, something like a town and city.
Yeah, I don't think that would be bad for them at all. I honestly did not expect the Battlefield counterpick to slope so heavily towards Cloud. Even though Daku Sky brought it back towards the end, it was definitely surprisingly tough for Sephiroth to get any sort of mileage, even holding that center stage, because when Cloud is in that center stage, the up B out of shield, again, it was so good because you can just not do the second part of it and land safely on the top platform.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw it time and time again, I think. Poncho did a really good job, I think, as that set went on, to really start to get a read on Deku Sky's movements. I mean, think about between the second and third stock, just kind of reading Deku Sky's defensive option, right? Second stock, he's off stage, and he realizes, hey, he's recovered low a bunch of times. Let me dip down there with my limit neutral B and just send it out there to cover an area, and Deku Sky falls right into it. Then in the third stock, you see, hey, he's in the corner, and I know he wants this kill. He's probably going to want center stage, so he'll roll right here, and the call out on that cross slash cleans up the match. So Poncho doing a really good job of reading Deku Sky's defensive options right now.
Yeah, it's an open book, open and shut case for them. But even so, reading the defensive options, it's not enough to win neutral every single time, as it's been last hit, last stock both times. So getting into this third game soon enough, looking to be on Smashville, we're going to be able to see who in the clutch situation comes out on top. As we're just waiting to see. It looks like we do have the stage picked. It is Smashville. You had suggested a smaller stage. How do you feel about this one, Soy?
This one, I think this is a stage that I think is a comfort pick for Deku Sky. I think he really likes this stage because of that. You only have to deal with one platform. It's right in the middle, and the characters that he plays do a very good job of covering that platform. He can kind of pick and choose whatever portion of the stage he wants to be on and still threaten that area.
Yeah. All right, there we go. I was a little concerned right there, but finally we're getting back into it. Game 3. Both these players have the potential. On a smaller stage, we'll see how control of this center platform plays out. Poncho gonna get in that initial parry, but not much more than that, as they do just hold shield a little too long, get themselves grabbed.
Yeah, and things relatively even here off the start. That's a big grab, though, for Deku Sky, but not able to get much off of it.
Yeah, and that dash check right there as well. Player not going to find its mark. Now landing with that back air. Feels a little bit more one-sided, but now you're at 40%. Avoiding the cross slash, though, that is important. The limit is so hard to get mileage off of it if you're weaving in and out correctly.
Yeah, you can tell Poncho really struggling with it too. This is dangerous. That's going to be the stock. Great coverage once again from Deku Sky.
Yeah, waiting for them to pick an option to avoid that, and then immediately covering all of them except jump with that up B.
Ooh, I actually like that counter. We haven't seen Deku Sky throw out a ton of them. We didn't see it any time, I think, through game number 2. But in game number 1, and here again in game number 3, he's making good use of it.
Yeah, as got one wing, you're a stock up. This is everything Deku Sky could ask for, honestly. Except for the Blade Beam. Can't ask for that. They're able to get back to stage thanks to the counter protecting them from the Blade Beam. But it's still a little bit tougher to get the landing now.
And a ton of pressure being applied here by Deku Sky. Finds that forward tilt, and the tipper of it going to secure stock number 2. So now Poncho down a full 3-1 in terms of stock counts. He's got to find a way to find he's got to find a way back into this match.
Good forward tilt right there. Poncho really keeping the pressure online. Deku Sky? I mean, Poncho really can't find the way in. There's a desperation up you out of shield is the only percent you're getting. And when you're getting put with a down air as well, it starts to really stack up mentally.
Yeah, and at 165, you can tell Poncho just really wants this kill, and that's not what you want. That back air nearly killing, and now look at all the pressure on ledge. This could be it, but he's able to get away.
Yeah, after getting caught by that so many times, you know they're ready for it. Not going to fall for that counter either. A ghost of a chance here, but it's looking like Deku Sky has just been on a rampage.
Yeah, really strong performance here in game number 3 from Deku Sky. And Poncho, I mean, again, not quite out of it yet, but it's just going to take so much work for him to find a way back into this one. Good opening there off the start, but can't get another follow-up off of it.
You know, just going to hurl him off. Got the Blade Beam online, but going to elect for the cross slash instead. Wise, just covering a lot of get-up options right there. As Deku Sky really is having trouble getting off the ledge. Poncho's making this look very doable if they're just able to find one more hard read here.
That's a lot of moves connected back and forth along that side of the stage, as you said. But the one problem I think Poncho's really having is that he can't really edge guard Deku Sky. He waits on ledge. That's going to be a little bit more damage. And now he's got to find a way out of the corner once more.
And look at that up B up, running off stage with the up air to finish them off. Just covering the options. One big hitbox after another. More points on the board for Canisius College. And this was sealed a long time ago, but Canisius, off of them just not dropping anything except single games here and there, they are going to be the champions here. But Rider University definitely kept up the fight, taking games. But the adaptations individually with each of these players in the sets were just too much for them to handle in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very close for a long time, but it's like you saw, Canisius, I think one of the things they did in this, in the overall, is adapt really well. Because remember, Ryder, through 3 of these sets, was able to take game number 1. They were able to put the pressure on Canisius. But it was Canisius responding in games 2 and 3, finding a way to adapt to the playstyle that really gave them the edge and allowed them to make the comebacks that they did. Because you remember, when you take that game 1, it puts the pressure on your opponent to respond. And Canisius, that's a huge momentum booster, the fact that they were able to respond so many times.
Yeah, Canisius definitely had the tools in the bank. Number 1, though, it still feels like they have a long way to do that. I mean, I don't know. some of the players I've seen, when it's this close of a nail biter again and again and again with Rider University, going up against the top tier teams is going to be even harder. They're not going to let up when you let one or two things slip. Canisius College, I have faith in them. They set a goal, they can achieve it. It's not going to be easy though.
Yeah, and it really, again, I know I say this a lot, but it puts the emphasis on getting the win in your set, because that's where those bonus points really come in handy. And the fact that all of these games were so close, and yet the scoreboard shows that it looks like it's a blowout for Canisius. It's not telling the true tale of this set, which is that every game was really down to the wire. It was just one or two things that went Canisius's way in the end.
And once again, just going to take a quick look at the schedule because we're almost done with this set, but we still got more games coming up after this and some heavy hitting games too. Personal favorite of mine, George Washington University, the two W's taking on a W State, or Wichita State. Woof! Bit of a slip of the tongue there. Wichita State kind of filling the shoes that George Washington left behind when they started to climb up into the top tiers of the teams. We'll see if Wichita State is able to keep up that reputation going up against George Washington.
Yeah, a big game coming up. And then after that, we've got St. John's versus Colorado. A bit of a rivalry forming between those two teams, looking to really prove themselves as championship caliber. So a big game for both of those organizations. And it's it's interesting that we're only in week 3, and yet these matches feel so pivotal for down the line. When playoffs come around, these could be the tiebreaker-esque matches that completely shift a bracket.
Yeah, 100%. As a little bit more now. We do have some info on the last few players. Let me get into that real quick. It's looking like Rat is going to be the player of choice. Going to be a Bowser Jr. coming out on the side of Canisius College. Once again, honestly, I'm getting quite familiar with them. Throughout in EGF and outside EGF, character's been picking up steam, Soy.
Yeah, and Rat is one of those players for Canisius that I believe they picked up this year. I think he is a freshman, but he is brand new to the scene, so he's going to be fun to watch. It'll be his first matchup, and against Riders TLA, he's going up against a veteran of the scene.
And what can you tell us about TLA? Because, well, we're going to see them in just a minute going up against Rat, but I don't know. Against a character like Bowser Jr., I mean, I was about to say it can be a little tough. You've got to be ready for your adaptation, ready on your DI. But if you're going to get a Bowser Jr. online matchup education, I think EGF is probably the best place to go to it.
Yeah, the Bowser Juniors have been on the rise. TLA last year went, I believe, exclusively Sonic. So, Sonic is one of those characters that I think is very interesting for this type of format, because while they control the pace of a matchup, they also have very interesting results where I don't think I've seen a Sonic get a 3-stock on anyone, but I also don't feel like a Sonic is ever truly out of a matchup.
2, 1.
Yeah, when you're able to completely control who interacts where, even if you're losing those interactions, you can still control how fast they happen. As a jab out of shield is going to be enough to punish that dash attack, so stick to the spin dash instead. That's what TLA is going to be doing.
Yeah, and Rat gets the grab, but he can't find the early follow-up, so I'm curious to see also what kind of style Rat plays on this Bowser Jr.
Yeah. Now, controlling the ground game is going to be a very important factor for this. which Bowser Jr. can do, just that lingering deployable right there. Mecha Koopa is just going to make it so much harder to get the spin dash out. The slow-moving projectiles, they're not great, but it forces you to respect them, you know, Soy?
Yeah, and it's done a little bit of work for him so far as the percent's relatively even. Great catch there on the spin dash.
Get the forward air there, but it's going to be a trade because they were holding the Mecha Koopa. An up smash out of shield will be enough. In the end, TLA holding on here. Rat, I like what they're doing, but a lot of your options really are just budget Sonic options, you know? Like dropping down a projectile as you recover to edge guard. Using that side B to get into stuck combos. It feels like Rat is just being beaten at Bowser Jr.'s own game.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you can tell TLA is starting to take advantage of it too. Look at the pressure he's been able to apply as he seals away stock number 2 now.
Yep, and Rat, whew. Where do you find the kill? That's what I'm wondering. You're not going to really get an up smash out of shield against a player like TLA. Trying to cover neutral get up is a nice idea, but not quite spaced correctly. The back air, though, will finally do it from across the stage. And so TLA not looking to give up quite yet.
Yep, and Rat's going to be able to make it back to stage, but again, TLA is just catching on to every option, it feels like. That's a good grab. The back door not going to be able to do it quite yet, and Rat just eating so much percent.
Yeah. They're going to be able to avoid that Mecha Koopa, as, again, it's just the back throws off stage. Not going to kill quite yet, but with the stage positioning and how long Sonic can linger out there, even a character like Bowser Jr., who has amazing stalling potential out there, can do nothing to contest that, as the landing option is eventually caught up, and TLA does get a point on the board again for Ryder. Rat going to be having a little more trouble.
Yeah, TLA looked very solid in that matchup, and I think part of it is, like you said, just Rat kind of got beat at his own game there because TLA was just beating him to the punch. And that's one of the things for Ryder is that TLA was a player last year who, when Ryder found success, TLA was finding success. But when TLA got shut down, Ryder got shut down. So he was kind of one of those players that you could tell he was a big impact on how this team played. And for him to come out here in set number 5 with a good, solid performance here in game number 1 shows that Ryder, they're putting up more of a fight than the scoreboard would show.
Yeah, scoreboard never lies, except it does quite often in this league, unfortunately. Ryder not going to be able to win this for their team, but they do have plenty of opportunities later on in the season to make use of this amazing counter pick character, as we do need to turn to Rat a little bit. Again, I feel like a character like Bowser Jr., I called it out, they just get beat out in every option. They can't really burst option Sonic because they just get burst optioned right back. The clown car is not superior to Spin Dash.
Yeah. I feel like Bowser Jr. is another one of those characters, too, where you kind of have to have the time to get your setups in. You have to have the Mecha Koopa. You have to have the cannonball already out there, things of that nature. And I just felt like TLA never gave him the time because Sonic plays such a faster pace, or at least TLA, his Sonic plays such a faster paced match.
Yep. And going smaller stage to try and get a bit more cramped. Make sure Sonic can't just have his way with all the bursts in the world. Run to Smashville. See how that pans out as the narrative shield can't quite connect. Trying to get rolled behind right there, but not quite out of the range of the hitbox.
Yeah, Rat off to a little bit of an early deficit, but again, this is kind of the challenge for Rat. When TLA is controlling the pace of the match with these spin dashes, this is the time to kind of try and set up, but TLA just doing a fantastic job of reading where Rat wants to go.
As they just get some chip damage in. Flying all enough to get the punish. Honestly, TLA getting a lot of good reads, but either way, can be a little bit tough to really convert that into anything when Sonic does have some kills off of the spin dash. And honestly, I would not mind just seeing the clown car burst option a couple more times. It does feel like at this point they are just waiting for TLA to come to them, you know?
Yeah, a little too defensive, and it goes back to the point we've mentioned before. You kind of have to know when your time to go in is, and right now it doesn't feel like Rat knows it quite well, as dipping a little too far away, trying to respect TLA's edgeguard attempt, but respected it a little bit too much and ends up losing his first stock.
Yeah, and now we're kind of in the same position. We're way deep on the kill. Throwing out the forward smash to try and punish that, it's just going to be met with a delayed spin dash. And they're going all the way off stage with the back air. It's a nice percentage on there. The forward smash not going to win there. All the way across the stage to finally clean up the kill. The spin out going to give Rat some mileage, but either way, you still are down 90% against the Sonic, and it's just going to keep growing.
Yeah, Rat, I think right now, like you said, is really struggling to find his ways in. But using that spin out was a good way of sealing away that second stock. It's not typically a way that you would think of Bowser Jr. getting a kill. And he's just really struggling with this spin dash right now.
Yeah. Ooh, just going straight down with that. Delay. Let me get right there. Ooh, nice forward air right there. Able to clean that up. TLA wants to get these points on the board. You'd rather get the 9 than let anything slip away, even if you've got this game in the bag. Rat's not completely out of it yet, but TLA getting them off stage is going to help. Oh, and the drag down. Not even a drag down. They just headbutted them straight into the stage. They weren't ready for that tech whatsoever, and I don't blame them, as it is going to be TLA getting that 9 points on the board. Pretty much half of the score we saw from Canisius College. And while I normally would do a long, poetic outro, we're running a little bit behind, so we're going to go to a quick break. With Canisius College winning, we're going to get a little interview with them and possibly the whole team, so stick around. It's going to be a fun time. Welcome back, everybody, to EGFC. As you can see here, we have all of Canisius College here. How you doing, everybody?
Wonderful. We're doing wonderful.
Hey,
Great team win. Great team win.
hey, listen, you have my vote for very good team, and you had said that when I talked to you all in the beginning of the year, you were coming for that #1 spot, but it has been a little shaky starting out, but you still got the wins. So how are you feeling as you're improving into the season?
I feel great. I feel a lot of us are coming to form. Compared like the first week to how we are now, like already the players are improving just super rapidly. Everyone's coming together, and it's starting to shape up the way we kind of envisioned it when we started the season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, over the years, a lot of the upperclassmen have moved on and graduated, and so a lot of this year's roster is a kind of a mix of young and old. So, how do you feel about the improvement from the younger guys?
It's so great about the young guys. We got Anthony right here. As a junior, that was his first game. Good. Give him a little bit of a round of applause. Good stuff. I would have loved to play a Sonic. First person to say that. But yeah, no, it's really good to see people just getting out there, and they're rapidly improving. Honestly, bunch of really smart kids. Honestly, they're getting in there. They're learning things really quickly. So, love to see it.
Yeah, and the improvement, I feel like it's not a wild assumption to say that it's definitely from playing in this team environment where you're actually playing as a team in this lab. So, like, how much do you feel that has contributed to your growth as a team?
I think a lot of us are in here all the time. We got a lot of people who are hungry to improve, and I love that. And having this lab, this space to just kind of come together all the time is wonderful. People are here 8 a.m. sometimes, just grinding out random things. Me especially. But yeah, no, having everyone in here all the time, you get that everyone wants to get better together. It's honestly, I think we all work really well together. So, yeah.
Yeah. You guys are now 2-1. You get a 1-1 Iona team next week. How are you going to prepare for the rest of this MAC conference?
We have Iona. I thought it was Quinnipiac next week.
Oh, I've looked at the wrong schedule. I think it is Quinnipiac.
So now I gotta rethink. What was the question again? I was too focused on the.
How do you prepare for these weekly matchups?
Oh, we got to go to film, really. Sit back, see where we can improve, see how we can kind of exploit things, how we kind of want to go and approach the game. It really comes down to studying the matchups and just preparing. Really, it's not just playing. It's about the way we think about it. So
yeah. And hey, with a lot of close matches this week, I imagine you have a lot to improve on. Like, if you get a stomp, then you're like, well, we did good. Good job. But you've got a lot of tape. So I'm looking forward to see how you'll improve, and I wish you best of luck in your coming matches.
Thank you.
Good luck next week. Thanks for doing this interview.
Of course. Anytime. Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank you very much again. And with that, we're going to go for a very quick break, a couple minutes. And when we get back, we will be getting on with our next match. So don't go anywhere. EGFC will be back in a few.